Welcome to the video, guys. Another week and another video about the SNP and their constant meddling in the Brexit situation and party political nonsense that we are dealing with almost every day, as I said in my video yesterday. Well, this time it's not just Nicola Sturgeon taking part in this, it's also Ian Blackford, who we know is one of the SNP's most ardent Remoaners. Well, reports that suggest they are planning to demand a Brexit extension from Boris Johnson, despite obviously the Brexit extension deadline being long gone at this point, as the Express is reporting here. Now, before we get into that, my daily live streams have moved over to Twitch, so if you want to come and chat with me in real time, the link is down in the video description. They generally start about 8 or 9 PM. But enough of that, let's get back to the video and deal with the SNP yet again. The Express article headlines, Meddling SNP to demand Brexit extension with 6 months to go. Reckless in the extreme. The SNP will formally urge Boris Johnson to accept an EU offer of a Brexit extension with less than 6 months to go until the end of the transition period. The Scottish Government has repeatedly called for the transition period to be extended, with First Minister Nicola Sturgeon writing to Boris Johnson warning fundamental issues still remained between the UK and EU negotiators. The party said they have concerns less than 6 months before the end of the Brexit transition period, as recent talks reached a deadlock. Well, it doesn't matter what they got concerns of. The people of this country have spoken multiple times on this subject. The last time at the December election, where we gave the Tory government a massive majority to get Brexit done. End of story. EU Chief Negotiator Michel Barnier has repeated the bloc's openness to an extension in a letter to leaders of smaller parties in Westminster, including the SNP, Lib Dems and Plaid Cymru, after they contacted him about the talks. He said such an extension of up to 1 or 2 years can be agreed jointly by the two parties. The EU has always said we remain open on this. Well, we don't. That is the end of it. And this Remoaning piss poor letter from the SNP is also going to get them nowhere, but ridiculed by everyone, as we already know. And let's not forget, last time I checked, more people voted for Brexit than actually voted for the SNP, so I really do wonder why they think they have the right to come out with this nonsense. Under the terms of the withdrawal from the EU, Britain only had until July 1st to decide whether to extend the transition period. Now, the SNP's Westminster leader Ian Blackford will formally stress that the UK economy must come first, which, let me tell you, getting Brexit done and probably a no-deal Brexit will be the best thing for, I am willing to bet. Mr Blackford will say that with no good deal in sight and the country facing an economic crisis, it would be reckless in the extreme for the government to go ahead and pile a no-deal Brexit on top. No, staying in the EU and extending the transition period, staying under EU laws that we don't control while paying them a shitload of money is reckless in the extreme at the end of the day. He will add, Boris Johnson must put his responsibilities towards the economy first and agree to the Brexit transition extension on offer from the EU to protect people's jobs and living standards. Well, last I checked, we're in the EU now and the government isn't able to protect people's jobs, so I really don't see how a Brexit transition extension will actually help that, you complete and utter moron. The MP will stress the UK cannot afford the added damage a no-deal Brexit would add to the economy, which needs all the help it can get. Yeah, and being out of the EU will allow the government to actually help the economy because, as we all know, EU rules don't permit it at the moment. He will point out many businesses are already struggling to survive because of coronavirus and thousands of jobs have been cut, which is disproving his point that staying in the transition period will help people's jobs. They've already been cut, you complete and utter wank stain. At the same time, the Scottish Government's monthly economic report stressed that a no-deal Brexit would have significant impact on economic activity in Scotland. It continued, coronavirus has resulted in an economic crisis in Scotland through the direct impact on the economy, but also the secondary impacts on health and society from a weaker economy. And yet we're going to believe the Scottish Government's monthly economic report when we all know they are some of the most ardent Remoaners out there spouting Project Fear whenever they can. As we also move towards formally exiting the EU transition period, uncertainty regarding future trade arrangements with key markets has the potential to impact already weakened business sectors and have a significant impact on economic activity, particularly if there is no deal. Scotland has already felt the impact of the pandemic after figures showed GDP fell. Well, it fell everywhere, so we're not going to bother with that. However, figures for the month of May are due to be published by the Scottish Government next week. We will wait to see what they say. Miss Sturgeon wrote in her letter to Boris Johnson, no one could reproach the UK government for changing its position in light of the wholly unforeseeable coronavirus crisis, particularly as the EU has made it clear it is open to an extension request. Well, let me tell you something, you Scots Nat Pratt, there will be at least 17.4 million people very pissed off if he changes his approach and goes for a Brexit extension, that is for sure. Believe me, the reproach from the people of this country will be massive. You need to stop getting your information from Twitter and your stupid little surveys of your own members. The SNP therefore calls on the Prime Minister to take the final opportunity the next few weeks provide to ask for an extension to the transition period in order to provide a breathing space to complete the negotiations, to implement the outcome and the opportunity for our businesses to find their feet after the enormous disruption of recent months, which getting Brexit done would actually do. If we left the EU now under no deal, I expect the government would be able to help businesses a lot more than they currently can, but that is just speculation, as with most of what the SNP ever has to say. At the time the withdrawal agreement was signed, no one could have imagined the enormous economic dislocation which the coronavirus pandemic has caused in Wales, Scotland and the whole of the UK and in the EU and across the world. You will notice she never once said England there, because she absolutely hates England and I fucking love it. The feeling is mutual, don't you worry about that, you snivelling shitweasel. The letter claimed that at best there would only be a bare bones trade deal in place by December or a move to a no deal exit from the EU. But Boris Johnson and UK Chief Negotiator David Frost has ruled out any such extension, as we all know. Now, I'm sure you're all laughing your ass off at this nonsensical attempt by the SNP here. It is rather funny to see them still trying to do this, despite obviously many Remainers now understanding that the jig is up, it ain't going to happen. Obviously, there are still some out there, especially on Twitter and in the SNP, Labour, Lib Dems and the rest of them, but generally the population has accepted that Brexit is done, we are leaving at the end of the year, deal or no deal. As Anne will say in a moment, we are off. But as always, I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who supports the channel, and my other social media links are down in the video description if you want to come and support me on Twitter, BitChute and a variety of other platforms, including my second YouTube channel. As I said, all links are down in the video description.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.